What's happening, everybody? Off the Mike Sports Network here. College football. What a wacky start to Week 10. But I want to talk about a game that kind of is going to flow under the radar because it was two unranked teams in the ACC. You know, ACC. Obviously we've talked about Miami. Very disappointing result. I mean, Georgia Tech's the best team in the league. They're still undefeated. We'll see how they do. Louisville, Virginia. But the standard of this conference has been Clemson. The standard of this conference has been Clemson really for more than a decade under Dabo Sweeney, especially in the college football playoff era. Clemson has run the ACC, but I can't remember the last time that the Clemson Tigers have been this bad. And I understand there were some extenuating circumstances here at the end of this game against Duke. They lose 46-45. There was a really questionable pass interference that set up the game-winning touchdown, but Clemson could have stopped them then, and then Duke goes for two. They win 46-45, and Clemson on November 1st, think about this sentence. If I would have told you back in August that on November 1st, Clemson would have 5 losses, would be 3-5. What would you have said to me? You would have told me I was batshit and say Clemson is 12th in the ACC right now. They are 12th in the ACC. I'm looking at these standings right now. Clemson has lost 4 conference games before November 2nd. 4 conference games. They lost. Their other loss is to LSU, which, by the way, just fired their coach 6 days ago. This is astonishing how bad Clemson football has gotten this year. And yes, this is a different kind of loss, but again, at home, multiple home losses. They got smoked at home by Syracuse, who lost their quarterback halfway through the game. This is not a good football team. Cade Klubnik had Heisman potential. We thought Dabo had finally figured it out. This was number 4. Some people had this team number 1 in their own personal polls. I think they were number 4 to start the season. Lose at home to LSU, start the season. This has been a mess, and I talked about this on the channel. It probably been like a month ago. It might have been after the Syracuse loss where I was like, maybe it might be time for Clemson to, think about moving off of Dabo Sweeney. I don't know if Clemson, and I don't know the buyout structure of this thing. I don't know if Clemson's going to want to fire Dabo Sweeney, given what he has done for that program. But I seriously think that we are heading towards a divorce between the Clemson Tigers and Dabo Sweeney. I've talked with people. I work with people around the industry. I actually give a shout to somebody who I work with, Nicole Auerbach, very prominently in the college sports world. She's been on this for a minute. Maybe Dabo Sweeney should look around. This job market is not exactly loaded with, top-level, championship-level candidates for some of these big-time jobs like LSU, like Penn State, Virginia Tech is a little bit further down, Florida. And there's going to be more that potentially open up. To me, I don't see Dabo Sweeney being the head coach of Clemson football in 2026. I don't see it. This was set up to be one of the better teams that Clemson's had. I was really high on this team to start the season. I really like Cade Klubnik. I like how they finished the season last year. Even with the loss to South Carolina, they came back the next week, won an incredible ACC championship game. They actually played Texas pretty tough in the playoff. And here we are. They're 3-5 on November 1st with 4 conference losses in the ACC. If I would have told you before the start of the season, Florida State we didn't know, but then Florida State beat Alabama. Clemson and Florida State are so far out of the race, and there's a real possibility that they might both be looking for new head coaches next year. And I'm not so sure that Clemson wouldn't exactly be thrilled if Dabo left. Like they might welcome it. I don't know if they want to fire him. And maybe it does come to that, but it feels like that this is the end. It's been trending this way for a while. Dabo has really not embraced the transfer portal, but it was set up pretty well. They did get some transfers in, and this has just not worked, man. This has not worked. Um, and this loss to Duke is really kind of the culmination of what we've been seeing through the first what 2.5 months of the season. And you know, you also look at the whole season in totality. First loss of the season, everybody's like, hey, losing LSU at home is not the worst thing in the world. LSU just fired their head coach last Sunday. It was a weird political, argument that was going on over there. Clemson just fired their head coach, I'm sorry, LSU fired their head coach. Clemson, I don't know if they'll want to do it because Dabo is 2 national championships there, man. Like that guy, as I said, Clemson not only has they've been the standard in the ACC, they've been one of the standards in college football for the last decade under Dabo Sweeney. So to see them this bad and, potentially fighting for a bowl spot down the stretch of this season, they basically, listen, they got Florida State next week. They've got Louisville, they got Furman, and then they got South Carolina. Florida State, they could potentially win. That's at home. They're at Louisville. Good luck with that. Louisville's really good. At South Carolina's been disappointing. That's a rivalry game. That's going to be weird. They should beat Furman. So here's what has to happen. Just for them to get to 6-6, they have to win every single one of those games. They are staring, unless they go on the road at Louisville and win. I think they can beat Florida State, and I think they can beat South Carolina. Louisville is in doubt because Louisville is one of the better teams in the ACC and could potentially be in the mix for a playoff. They went on the road and beat Miami, for God's sake. Clemson might not be a bowl team. If you would have told me that before the start of the season, when they were ranked number 4, some people had them number 1, that they may not be in the play. Not only would they not be in the playoff, they may not make a bowl. This is a 5-7 team. If they lose 2 games down the stretch of the season, and like I said, their last 4, Florida State at home, you're at Louisville, you're home to Furman, and then you're at South Carolina. I don't know if this team's getting to a bowl. And even then, at best, you're 7-5 if you win your last 4 games. That's a massive disappointment. So I think this is headed for a divorce, man. I think this is headed for a divorce. I do not think Dabo Sweeney will be coaching the Clemson Tigers in 2026. Whether he's at Florida, whether he's at LSU, whether he's at Virginia Tech, whether he's somewhere else, who knows where else he would want to go. I think he should look around, and I think Clemson should just encourage him to go look around. Because I think maybe the mutual parting of the ways is beneficial for everybody. Because I think that this ship has kind of sailed in Clemson, South Carolina. It's unfortunate because, like I said, this is one of the standards of the sport. But to see this program fall off the way that they did, not just this year, but in the last couple of years, but this is really just a snowball effect at Clemson. So we'll see where it goes, but I just don't see how Dabo Sweeney can be the head coach of Clemson next year. I don't know how they'll get to it. He's accomplished enough where I think he could benefit from a change of scenery. I just think that a mutual parting might be the best thing for everybody. And, if he wants to go see somewhere else, they could figure out a situation of what they want to do moving forward at Clemson. But it's just wild that this has turned out the way that it has. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.